You just gotta like sports media at its best. So I just had something to say before I don't know if this is gonna be a short video, it's gonna be a long video, but y'all probably when y'all watching this, it's probably gonna be like Wednesday morning, maybe close to between 10 and 11 a.m. Central Time or something like that. But yeah, it's just something I gotta speak on this. Of course, the Bucks from the Mariners are talking about trying to maybe get Russell Westbrook to sign if they can't get Chris Paul, or there's Westbrook, of course. Then there's Michael Brogdon, and I don't know any like good point guards that would be available for them, because it's like they look for a true point guard. But then again, you got like not Gary Trent Jr., but Kevin Porter Jr. that could be like a combo guard. And I guess it just seems like some Bucks fans and most of the media don't have faith in like Kevin Porter Jr. But I'm glad he did resign with the Bucks, so this season he can prove everybody wrong. And of course this thing which this was talked about earlier today, where everybody know about what Malik Beasley and is like gambling. So it seems like that he has serious financial issues and actively trying to pay off debts by gambling, which kind of sucks. And hopefully in Detroit, I know they did resign him, and I think he's getting a little bit of a better of a payday than anything. Just at the time, the last all season, the Bucks couldn't like do much at the time. So good luck in Detroit. Seems like y'all got them into the like first round of the playoffs for the like first time in a long time. So yeah, whatever. Just wish them luck in this. So I'm not gonna play it, but I'm just gonna like pause it when they see it. So sorry. Let me just stop it there. So again, because everybody's talking about Herbert Jones. There's no way that the Pelicans are going to get rid of that guy or let him go. I just don't see it. So he's basically, like a 6'8", statutory shooter. Which that means like he's a great shooter. And let's see. Had them get another backup center, Kario Makovic. Oh, I'm sorry, I got his name wrong. But yeah. So some of these people think this should be the Bucks should actually like do this, like get rid of Kyle Kuzma, and it's always seemed like everything got to be involved with a first round pick for the Bucks to get somebody better. So I don't understand it, and it's really stupid. If they get him without involving a pick, fine. Oh, sorry guys. But in my opinion, they should see what Kyle Kuzma can do all season, and see what he can do the first few months. And if he's still playing crappy like he was in the playoffs, then okay, see if you can trade him. You can do it like that, but at least see what he's done like in the off season and stuff like that, and see if he improved from what he was playing like he was in Washington like a few years ago. So I guess because some players, people don't believe it, but a new scenery can change you. It can either make you better, or it can make you okay, or it can make you worse. So it kind of made Kyle Kuzma worse, but the crazy thing was at that time he ended up being our I think our third option, while Gary Trent Jr. like ended up emerging as our second option in the playoffs, which ain't nothing wrong with that. So with the fit with the Bucks now, it's like, what are you gonna do? You have Miles Turner, like you got Giannis. All obviously gonna be the first option, but who's gonna be your second and third? It's just the way I see it. I can see Gary Trent Jr. being the second option and Miles Turner being, the third option. Kuzma, and if they, start Kevin Porter Jr. as the point guard, or whoever the point guard will be, they'll make the lack, of the starting position. So like I said, I agree. Maybe they get Russell Westbrook because he's a good offensive player and got some defense. And I know there's times he's gonna shoot shots that he shouldn't be. That's sometimes with his shot selection is gonna be a little bit of a problem. That's probably the only thing that would be a problem with Russell Westbrook. Of course, with Chris Paul, have experience, can mentor the young point guards and all that stuff. Maybe he can have a final decent, very good postseason run. Maybe it'll be all the way. They can get to a championship. So that's possibly. I wouldn't say it'll be like a complete dynasty, but at least Chris Paul can walk away after this coming season and be like, yeah, I'm winning a championship. So hey, it's possible. Not saying it's going to happen, but hey, it's possible because I kind of doubted the Bucks in 2021. Like I was thinking, okay, they're the third seed, so I think they ain't gonna get nowhere past the second round. So whatever. And thinking Coach Bud was gonna get fired, didn't happen. They went all the way to the championship, and Coach Bud got an extension. So crazy things have happened. But if it doesn't have to involve any picks, whatever. But like I said, what some of these YouTubers and sports media and stuff just come up with anything. That everything the Bucks do, it got involved with their 2031 or 2032 draft pick. They already get rid of the two second round picks already, just to make space for if they want to bring somebody in, and of course trying to modify. Because they did, modify Miles Turner's contract and Andre Jackson Jr.'s contract. That was yesterday's video, so you get a chance, watch it. But no, I don't agree to that. I really don't. Not involving the draft pick. But they always got to be involved with draft picks. No, they don't. Not all teams need, a draft pick. That's just called being greedy. No. If I'm trading, my best player with a draft pick, then get multi other draft picks, then that's one thing. But I'm not gonna trade a player that could be the fourth or fifth option, then suddenly get somebody who knows that if they're gonna play right or they're gonna play wrong. You don't know how their scenery gonna be. At least with Kuzma, he can improve. Still, young age. I think he's about to be 30 by the time the season starts. But still young. I just think people just overdo it with the Herbert Jones. Nothing personal, but how you gonna work something? If they were done a trade right now and having them in there, then that's one thing because they can get the ball running orderly. But if they end up doing before weeks before preseason starts and stuff like that, kind of what they did with Damian Lillard. In the beginning, you're gonna get someone that's a little bit offbeat. Then suddenly, probably gonna take time for him to find his rhythm and his comfort zone with the Bucks. I don't know. I just I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Okay, could be possible Miami's new lineup. Who knows? And this is another one. The Bucks had explored a sign and trade scenario to obtain Jonathan Kuminga. No, they don't need a undersized forward that plays mostly power forward. No, they don't need that. Because most likely he's going to come off the bench and what's he going to do? Take Bobby Porter's minutes, Jericho Sims minutes? No, they don't need Jonathan Kuminga. They don't. So the person would say Kuzma, Ajax, and the 2031 of no picks, no, and hell no. So they can be interested in Kuminga and stuff all they want, but they should not do this move. Not if it involves a draft pick and with adding Ajax in there, you just trading another young player instead of trying to develop them. He's already going to be playing in the summer league this Thursday when they play against when they kick off their summer league season with going against Denver Nuggets. I don't get where some people's mindset are going with this, so no. Like I said, no, and hell no. Forever out on Russ to the Bucks. Couldn't find a. Oh God. Forever out on Russ to the Bucks. Couldn't find a worse fitting player with Giannis. He's never going to accumulate his game to be a role player people want. It won't end well. No way. Need less non-shooters, not more. Um, Westbrook, Russell Westbrook. I think the problem is with him, as some people don't realize that sometimes his shot selection is bad. That's sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. There could be a game, he hit, good shots. He could be, 4 for 7 or 3 for 7 for 3 or something like that. So that's okay. And plus, this man can get a triple double. He had a triple double season and ended up winning MVP. So, hey, there's nobody down there. Yeah, you probably know I got the 4 dogs here. I got my brother's dog for the week, and of course my son. Hey, get down, get up here. There is nothing over there. See, 3 out of 4 of them got to do be. 3 out of 4 of them ain't gonna be like. Sit down. I don't know, but dogs are like your children at times, But like I said, I pointed out, for Chris Paul to maybe join the Bucks after he said that he's not gonna come back to San Antonio, and he wants to be a starter, which that'll be that hole that the Bucks have, and you know what? Why not start Chris Paul? Give him his final season, give him a decent paying contract, and have a ride in the sunset wherever we win or not. So not lose the season and stuff, but I'm just saying maybe okay we get to the Eastern Conference Finals and suddenly we end up losing or something like that. I'm just saying things can happen, and stranger things have happened. So I've been advocating for Chris Paul to come to Milwaukee for a while now. So. You never know. Can't believe we have data like this and Doc still refused to deploy these 4 together until it was too late. Well, yeah, I guess I can understand that. Down is AJ Green, KPJ, GTJ. Got a good net rating. Of course, there are going to be points that, they're going to do this. So, like I said, Doc Rivers, he's going to wake up eventually and, actually start using young players. Please, please, please. Andre Jackson Jr. improved. He can guard. Yes, he can. So the problem was, why Doc didn't put it on there in the playoffs to guard Tyrese Halliburton. He wouldn't have had that, explosive game that he had in Game 5. So, like I said, I know Gary Trent Jr. Made a bad move and didn't get the ball that could have maybe ended the game for them and had them go to Game 6. But I don't totally blame Gary Trent Jr. for that. I do blame Doc for times earlier in the game you could have had Andre Jackson Jr. guard Tyrese Halliburton, and it's just why are you not using him? And from B-Ball Index, the top 10 is in matchup difficulty, and Andre Jackson Jr. is number 5 on the top 10. So either people thinking of okay, Andre Jackson Jr. should go with that trade for Jonathan Kuminga. The hell's wrong with y'all? Really? Of course, he still got to improve his offense, and he's a good passer and can set up. But I can understand maybe do too many turnovers. Maybe he can calm down his turnovers and really look at the ball, because it's going to take some time for some people to develop. But I guess it's just like I said, Doc really got to actually do something to make this work. And of course that was yesterday's game with the pitcher we got called, calling himself the Miz, but Jacob Mr. Narski. Sorry if I say his name wrong. But that just feel. And plus, other thing, Bradley Beal could consider joining if he's brought up. Well, most likely he is going to be called out. Three Cali teams and little old Milwaukee. We owe Giannis this much, so much. So part of me is just like, will Bradley Beal be okay coming off the bench? Because I think we're good with Gary Trent Jr., and we do got a good backup shooting guard with AJ Green, and I guess some things he did with the Wizards, he could be a decent facilitator with the ball and stuff like that. But just the way he found out, he could have been traded to the Bucks from the Wizards and didn't want to go there because they was getting rid of trading Chris Middleton for him. And I think this is probably for all y'all, that especially y'all midi-sexuals out there. I think John Horst kind of seen the writing on the wall with Chris Middleton. Like, I think he saw the future with it, but I think other players like Giannis didn't, and it just sucks that it had to take this long for him to realize that Middleton had to go. So yeah, I'll be happy if they end up getting Bradley Beal for a cheap, and all of a sudden they decide to get him, but playable. He can be on the bench or something. Like I said, that's the only thing I can see working, in my opinion. Like if you take a bench role, or if they put him in the starting point guard role, I don't know how good that's going to fit, but it's like we're waiting to see. But I guess Giannis is much of a point forward. Maybe possibly that can help. Then you'll have majority of the players. Maybe not Miles Turner that can bring up the ball. Kyle Kuzma can do it too. Gary Trent Jr. can do it a bit. Then you have Bradley Beal. Being up there. Then you got Giannis would be majority of the point guard. Then had Kyle Kuzma do a little bit of this, and Bradley Beal do a little bit of that. So possible, but I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I know some Pacers fans upset they didn't let I think the Brewers are one big bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender. If you guys like me to talk about Brewer stuff, we can. So just comment below. You want me to see me talk about Brewer stuff. Do a episode. Do their games of the week or something like that. Can do something like that. Bucks should actually take a gamble on Beal. I like that. Tyler Smith's upside is way higher than Ajax. I wouldn't say his ceiling is that low, but waving a talent like Ajax is stupid. I do agree, but I don't think they should waive Tyler Smith either. Just hopefully they will actually use him this season. That's what I'm hoping for. So it forever bothered me that him and Giannis never really got a fair shot. Well, in the way they did, in the way they didn't. It was just, mainly, Damian Lillard was mainly homesick, and plus, I guess couldn't deal with his issues and stuff like that. Divorce and, missing his kids, I can understand that. But wouldn't it be more easier, you could have, brought him here to Milwaukee, and try to reconcile with the ex-wife. Try to do something that works, favors for everybody. I don't know, but people, they take their mental stable self and do. I know do everything they want with it. Yeah, they was just talking about the review of Superman on the video I was just watching. But like I said, I wouldn't have a problem with them bringing Mountain Brawl either. But at the same time, it's like he wasn't agreement with he didn't like being Milwaukee because it was so like segregated. Which you can be more with the community like they showing than worry about that. You can be either the solution or you can be the problem. Welcome back, my album. Somebody probably made that video. I really doubt they officially you know what, they signed him. I don't believe they actually would do that. Teams are presenting future cap space on what could be a historic free agent class of 2027. Oh wow. Nikola Jokic, because he said he wanted to resign his extension. So I'm surprised, other sports media don't be like on that, be like, oh, Jokic, he should leave Denver, blah 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 blah. You don't hear none of that. Let's see. Of course, Giannis, because I think he will have a player option that year, well, that off season. Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Davis, Trae Young, Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry might as well just like retire if that was the case. I don't think so, but Jimmy Butler, probably no team ain't gonna want him unless he take like a cheap deal. Karl Anthony Towns, maybe. Kyrie Irving, probably be the same thing with the Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry situation. Might gonna have to take like a cheap deal, and I don't think anybody gonna play for like maximum player for people, in their late 30s. So just don't see that. Of course, would you see Westbrook in Milwaukee? Like, I would like to. If Kyle Kuzma is still on the roster, depending on what wing we trade for, maybe. Oh God. Okay, they refused to do trade talks with AJ Green. That was the Raptors and Heat were a few teams that wanted to do that, but no. Well, that could be the thing because Westbrook had team up with Bradley Beal before in Washington, so they actually end up making it to like the playoffs. I think they were end up being the 8th seed though, so they end up making it in the playoffs with them too in backcourt. So possibility. Like I said, I'll be okay with the lineup at least. I don't think you'll have AJ Green be like the I think AJ Green would probably be more put the backup than Harris, but they better not get rid of AJ Green. So as you can see, if they take Westbrook 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They just made it seem like they just had 3 spots remaining. They forgetting about the rookie that that they got that's gonna be playing in the summer league, and depends on what's going on with him. So probably add Bradley Beal in the mix, but you at least gonna have like a need like another wing. So if you decide you have Bojo and as a small forward, have him be the starting small forward, and have him like get used to playing like a bigger size like over the years, like kind of same thing they did with Andrew Bogut. Like they had him at the power forward position like his first full season, and yeah, he flourished. Then after that, he was one of the greatest big men the Bucks have in a while. Well, before like Brook Lopez, but still. Anyways, you okay? Okay, I think my dog is kind of stuck, so let me just end this here and help her out of there. But yeah, everybody's saying they should go for Westbrook, but I'm cool with it either way. Yeah, the Pacers found out like the rest of us what that Miles was signing with the Bucks. This just keep getting better. Fuel the rivalry. Oh, it's kind of good, you have, oh, okay, so there was rumors out there, Kevin Love was, leaning towards retirement. So after being traded to the Jazz, Kevin Love is expected to agree to a buyout. Will enter free agency. So you know what? Why not? Eh, maybe he can fit in there with the Bucks. Maybe be it like a backup big in case something happens. Like I said, like if they sign their rookie, they will have 2 roster spots left, and maybe use one of them for Kevin Love, and you have at least good backup shooting big man at least. Or you just want to be funny, you can have him at the small forward. Just throwing things out there, and plus, he's a good rebounder, good defender, so, why not? That would be me, but, I'm not the GM, but, we can just throw ideas out there, but that don't mean, it's going to end up coming true. So, okay, more about, the trade that happened today. Heat, Clippers, and Jazz. Of course, thank you, Pat Connaughton. But yeah, that's pretty easy over. I don't think people are going to realize how much faster this team will be playing at next year. Yeah, you got a youth of the team, so why not? Bucks over under win projection for the 2025-2026 is 45.5 PER. So they say that there's like they thinking that the Bucks are going to win at least like 45 games. So I think I don't care what anybody said. I think you're going to underestimate the Bucks. That season. Yeah, it seems like my dog is stuck, so let me get her out of there. But anyways, guys, if you like today's video, please give it a like. Comment below. We do more just about videos like wrestling, comic book movies, and TV news, and also Milwaukee's development. Developments that's going on in Milwaukee. So comment if you want to talk about what I talk about today. Also, you can talk about oh yeah, she's really stuck. So I gotta go, everybody. Thank to Mike and Robert Thompson, and also Midwest Wrestling Collectibles for sponsorship. Also, check out our website, WrestlingFansSpeakout.weebly.com. Please subscribe to us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you know the deal with that. Man up, woman up, face up. Until the next video, you guys have a good one, and I gotta go.